We've got major news happening in the world of sports, and it's time to break it down all this week in the Sergeant Shot Clock. Welcome, everyone. I'm Matthew George. The shot clock is on, and it's time to ball. I don't even know where to start, but let's start with the NBA first, as major news just happened throughout this week. Let's first off go with Adrian Griffin and the Bucks organization, as he gets sent down and fired from the organization. I mean, I don't understand it. And first off, when I saw this, when I first got the alert on my phone, when reports came out from Woj and Shams about him getting fired, I'm like, wait a minute. This team is currently in second place in the Eastern Conference. Why fire the coach? There has to be something internally that we didn't know about when that news dropped. Is there any off the court issues that we don't know about? Of course, fans and the public will know about that until there's definitive, statement from the team and from the organization and from Adrian Griffin about why it didn't work at all. My guess is that Giannis and probably the team and probably almost the entire team didn't like what Adrian Griffin was doing throughout the entire season with this team, even though they were so successful. Well, then they got some major problems now, because the next day they hire Doc Rivers and sign him until the 2026-2027 season on a range of $40 million. Are you kidding me? Like, why? This guy has not won a championship since 2007-2008 season. Back on the Celtics. I don't understand why he's on the head coaching position for the Bucks. It makes no sense to me that this man about the moves that the organization made. They interviewed him twice. The Bucks interviewed him twice, and they made him the head coach straight up after they fired Adrian Griffin. Let me say this now. Bucks, go win yourself a championship. If you're making this big of a move, especially in your front office, go win yourself a championship, because there's no other reason that you cannot win with the head coach like Doc Rivers. Here's the issue. Doc Rivers has not won an Eastern Conference championship since 2009-2010 season. Yeah, over almost 2 decades that he's not won even an Eastern Conference championship. He's made the playoffs. Great. But that's not going to win you a championship. If you can't win a championship, then what's the point of being a head coach? That's why he's gotten fired by Boston, by Philadelphia, and by the Clippers. And most recently with Philadelphia, when you had James Harden and Joel Embiid, one of the better players in the league, and an MVP in the league with Joel Embiid. It makes no sense to me. Bucks, go win yourself a championship. If you do, then I'll take back everything I said. But for right now, it makes no sense, and they will not make it. I believe that they will not make it to even sniff the second round, the semifinal round of the Eastern Conference when playoff time comes around. Now let's move on to a lighter side of the NBA, as a big team right here in the Big Apple is on a major hot streak, as the New York Knicks have won 5 straight, 8 of their last 10 games, and 11 of their last 13 since acquiring OG Anunoby. Their big major win again last night against the Nuggets, which I don't think anyone saw coming. And they have been on a major tear. And what's the reason why? As I mentioned, and we mentioned it already in last week's episode as well, it is the major play and the defensive efforts and the scoring of OG Anunoby. He doesn't even have to score the ball that much. 15 points a game, 58% from the field, and 50% from three and 39% from three in January. The guy has been able to be so efficient for this team, to be a 3 and is being a 3D wing, and play his position almost perfectly. Hence why the Knicks have won so many games. Why do you think they've been so successful? You don't have RJ Barrett being a kind of a ball hog, because he's been always trying to handle the ball, drive to the rim, and been able to score at the basket. He doesn't even have a legitimate jumper, so he can't consistently make jumpers from mid-range or from 3. Although he's somehow doing better with the Raptors than what he's doing with New York. I guess obviously the coaching is a little bit different, so he's been getting a lot more shooting opportunities for the Raptors. But for the Knicks, it's looking like a great season so far, and a good first half for them. They're currently sitting, as I mentioned, in 4th place in the Eastern Conference right now. And look at the margin that they've outscored opponents. With the Nuggets, it was 38. Like, no one else saw that coming. I didn't, at least on my end. The 76ers, you see that number 36? That's against the 76ers. I can safely say that they are a legitimate team and they can make the playoffs. But here's an even bigger take. Don't be surprised that they'll make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They have not made it in a very, very long time. But I can see it this season because they are playing together. They are playing with tenacity, with great defense, especially with now, as I mentioned, with OG Anunoby. Julius Randle's playing a lot better because of it. Jalen Brunson is looking like almost an which I don't understand. First of all, I don't know why he did not get at least an all-star bench selection. Never mind the starting position. Damian Lillard was always going to get it. But for Jalen Brunson not to even get a spot on the All-Star team this season, somebody's got to reinvent that voting, because Jalen Brunson deserves to be an All-Star this season. He's been a 6-man and been on the bench and been behind Luka most of his career. He's not been always behind someone's back trying to lift them up, especially when he was at the Mavericks. But now this season, he has stepped up and made big time plays for the Knicks. All right, when we return, the LA Chargers have hired Jim Harbaugh as their new head coach. Will they make it to the playoffs next season with him at the helm? And we got the Chargers game of the week with the NFL playoffs. All right, it's time to take a timeout. The Knicks want to win now. That's what they want to do. And bringing in a guy like OG Anunoby, this is the best. I think this is one of the better trades that the Knicks have made in a very, very long time. He brings in a defense that I think that head coach Tom Thibodeau has been looking for a very long time. I don't think he would have been able to get that with RJ Barrett. All right, let's return with some NFL action coming your way next. Well, the LA Chargers have a new head coach, as the former Michigan head coach and who just won a national title, Jim Harbaugh, has signed a reportedly 5-year deal with the Chargers. And first off, Congratulations to Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines on winning the national title. He's been trying to get that title for a very long time throughout Jim Harbaugh's career, since he's been on the helm since 2015, and now he's been able to win a national title and complete his legacy for the Wolverines. Coach leaves a record of 89-25, 164 and 118 overall coaching record. Guy will probably be one of the more successful head coaches of all time in terms of college football. But now he's going to the big leagues and going to the LA Chargers. Now, first off, did you know that Jim Harbaugh actually played for the Chargers back when they were in San Diego, 1999 and 2000 to end his career? Now, granted, it wasn't great. He didn't have a great career at San Diego because he was finishing his off career. He was 6-11 as a starter for the quarterback position. He had 18 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. Not a great career, at least with the Chargers in that sake. But in that sense, it still is a great. I believe this is a great fit for the LA Chargers, for him to go now, for him to be at the helm. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason now that Harbaugh will be head coaching. I would like to see the Chargers go back into the playoffs. It's just a matter of what does this team need to do in offseason. Here's the issue with the Chargers. Not only did they finish dead last in the AFC West at 15-12, they lost 5 straight, and including 5 straight towards the end of the season. The problem with the Chargers is that, of course, I believe that they were badly coached by Brandon Staley. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams will always get injured almost every single week, whether it's both of them or one of the two. Justin Herbert, I believe he wasted his career with Brandon Staley at the helm. He should either ask to be traded, or just be saying, "Hey, I don't want to be with this team." He's wasted his potential with the Chargers, and I also had him on my fantasy team. He is a very good quarterback, at least in my opinion. He's a good quality quarterback that can get you wins. But the problem is that this offense is not great. Not only that, the offensive line really stinks. So, and Bosa also gets injured every year. We saw last season he was out, I believe, with an ACL tear. So this team has a lot of problems that Jim Harbaugh can fix. If he can lead Michigan to a national championship after trying for so many years, then he could try to help this team at least make the playoffs. The problem is of the AFC West, you have obviously the Chiefs. The Raiders are decently better. And the Broncos, of course, you still have Russell Wilson up there at the quarterback position for the Broncos. So it's a tough division to be in, but I think it's the better fit for Jim Harbaugh to reinvent this team and be able to make it to the playoffs. All right, before we end it off here, let's put some money in your pocket with and the game of the week is going to be the AFC Championship matchup between the Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are favorite at -3.5, with the over-under at 44.5. As you can see, that the Chiefs actually lead the series 7-5-0 against the Ravens all time. And the last time the two teams met, the Ravens actually did win in 2011, 30-7. Now, here's the biggest thing that I have for these two teams, and I'll give you my pick as well. First off, with the Baltimore Ravens, the AFC North has been all over the place throughout the entire season for all of the teams that are listed there. Ravens, Browns, Steelers, and Bengals. First off, with the Ravens, I mean, granted, they won these amount of games with Lamar Jackson. They won. They ran the ball really well as well because, I mean, this guy is basically has been an MVP caliber season. Not only throwing the ball, but also rushing the ball for a touchdown. Now, here's the issue: they had so many injuries throughout the entire season that, do they have a chance to compete for a title? It's really far-fetched for me, to be honest with you. So this team went 13-4. Yay. But with the extent of this division, to be honest, was very weak. Yeah, every single team was at least one game of over 500. The Bengals finished 9-8 finished 9-8 for the season, but they were out with the big Joe Burrow at the helm for most of the season with that hand injury. Jake Browning was gonna do that and was gonna finish the games for you. Yeah, no thanks. I'm not trying to win with Jake Browning as my starting quarterback. Yeah, no thank you. I'll stick to somebody else with that. I'll pick somebody else. Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, do I have to say any more? Steelers, get yourself a freaking quarterback for God's sake, because there's no reason why. Not only does Mike Tomlin a great head coach, but there's no reason why that he should figure out, hey, we have three quarterbacks that are not really working for this team, and you want to try to compete for a title? That you want to compete for a Super Bowl? That doesn't make any sense. Go in the offseason and get a better quarterback. Either go to the draft. I mean, you don't have a great pick in the draft this year anyway. So try to make a trade. Either make a trade with Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson and get yourself a quarterback or something like that. Do something that can be beneficial for the team to not only keep your overall record of not having a under 500 season intact, but I should try to compete for a Super Bowl. It's been decades since you win the Super Bowl, and the last time you actually won with it was with Big Ben at the starting quarterback position. Yeah, that was decades ago. And now you can't even. Now you're trying to squeak yourself into the playoffs with better teams that are gonna dominate against you. So this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers definitely need to make some changes. Lastly, with the Cleveland Browns, it was just unfortunate on how everything turned out with Deshaun Watson going down, and now they had some uplift with Joe Flacco. They signed him, but the guy is old as heck. So now he threw a lot of touchdowns, but he also threw a lot of interceptions as well. He's made a lot of mistakes, and the big mistake and the big amount of pressure that he felt was with that divisional round against the Texans. The Texans defense forced him to be mobile, and that's where he struggled. He can't throw off balance. He can't really run out of the pocket. He can't really run for a first down if they need some short yards, like on a second and third and like on a second and 3. He can't scramble to get you a first down. He's not that mobile. Yet this team finished 11-6, but in retrospect, this team didn't really do too much, and you got absolutely beat down by the Houston Texans, 45-14. So, in all honesty, the AFC North has been completely weak, and now Baltimore Ravens have basically just tiptoed themselves into the championship round. So, I believe that this game belongs to the Chiefs. They've had a tougher matchups, and they have a better chance to make it to another Super Bowl. And it kind of pains me to say that, because we're, to be honest, in my opinion, I want to see another team to compete for a Super Bowl. But here's the problem: this team is still good. Patrick Mahomes has found different ways to get first downs, to throw touchdowns, not only just Travis Kelce. So he has all these options, and these wide receivers are actually making plays now. For the love of God, thank goodness that these wide receivers are actually making plays now. After countless of drops throughout the entire season, and clutch plays by Patrick Mahomes to try to just make themselves competitive in the playoffs. You struggled against the Buffalo Bills until the end of the second half. Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco was the focal point of the running game for this team, and Rashee Rice has been the focal point for this team in terms of receptions and touchdowns. He's been able to run down the field and actually be a good receiver for this team. Travis Kelce has done everything that he can. He just got a touchdown just last week, or 2 touchdowns, excuse me. So he's been a factor, and he'll be a factor in this game. Don't be afraid to go for anytime touchdown for Travis Kelce, which actually, if I just check it now, he is at plus 120 to get an anytime touchdown. Here's the thing that I have for this half of this game. I wouldn't be surprised that this game will go to overtime. The odds for them to go into overtime is at plus of 1,400. I wouldn't be surprised that this will be a back and forth situation of offenses going head to head against each other. Next thing you know, Lamar Jackson will have again 2 touchdowns. He had 4 total touchdowns in his last game in the divisional round. And his anytime touchdown is an easy plus 100. You can easily get him for plus money. Not only that, Rashee Rice is also at an anytime touchdown at plus 150. So you got some good value for Kelce, Lamar Jackson, and Rashee Rice. All players who have scored for their respective teams in the playoffs and have come up clutch to advance to the next rounds. But don't be surprised that the Chiefs will make it again to the Super Bowl. And don't be surprised. It's gonna make me laugh. I'm gonna be laughing at myself when saying this. If the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, you know who's gonna be there as well. That's Taylor Swift. Don't be surprised that she actually makes an appearance in the halftime show too. So don't be surprised if the Chiefs make it over the hump against the Ravens. Don't be surprised that they're gonna make the Super Bowl and win it, depending on their matchup of the 49ers and the Lions. Because the Chiefs right now to win the Super Bowl is a plus 450. You're getting a good amount of value on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Man, would that be a story? Would that be a story for Patrick Mahomes and this team and Andy Reid? Alright, thank you guys so much. We'll be back again next week for more hot takes in the world of sports. Have a good night.